Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
Topolos here on our set in our KPDX studio talking about estuary sturgeon fishing. It's a catch and release fishery, okay? Now, I know a lot of us here in the Northwest, we want to eat them, and there's a reason for that. There's some folks that don't like that. I don't get them, but we don't need to, right? They are delicious, but they're also as fun, if not more fun, to go target and chase. This is a fishery that you need to pay attention to. When do you start chasing them?
12th of June, but it gets going usually right around the 1st of June.
Yeah, that first week is kind of I don't know if you could call anything like that down there a traditional kickoff, but it's certainly an option as things wind down when you're talking about Chinook fishing. But I think we have a shot of the area down there in that estuary. I just wanted to quickly give you a quick reference to some of the areas that you can kind of expect when you go out there. If you can, Brian, and scroll that down so I'm seeing more of the Washington side, the north side of the clump. There you go, stop right there. So Megler Bridge, okay, that's the biggest reference point out there. Man, a smile on his face just went, dang, you love it down there, don't you?
I do.
I mean, salmon, sturgeon, all the other stuff aside, you just like it down there.
I spend about 4 months of the year in Astoria.
No kidding.
And I like the weather. I like the town. There's a lot going on in Astoria. It's got great restaurants, breweries,
Where do you put in at when you go sturgeon fishing?
Oh, I moor my boat at West Mooring Basin there, right under the bridge.
All right, so then you just come right out of below Megler. That's right in here, everyone. Hard to miss. There's boat launches all around. East Basin, you got Warrenton, you got even on the other side, if you want to launch up on the other side, there's lots of options there. Where do you kind of focus your time using Megler as your reference?
I can be upstream here of the end of the map. I can be downstream of the end of the map. But a lot of my fishing is in and around the bridge. I mean, you can't really see it here, but there's a big sandbar called Desdemona Sands that kind of stretches all down through here.
Yep.
And I fish around the edges of Desdemona Sands a lot.
Okay.
And there's little nooks and crannies in there you can get into, or just along the channel in certain depths of water.
Sure.
I fish down below, closer to Hammond in some places, and then right in the middle of the river in some places, upriver a little further, what we call the turkey coop up there, or near the East Basin. There's just so many places to fish down there that I've learned over the last 30 years.
Okay, so understanding that, you're taking a look at the full-size part of the map here, everyone. East Basin is right in here. Then, of course, you got Megler Bridge. If somebody were to head out, maybe for the first time, is there a boat launch or a location to actually get on the water that you'd recommend above
I would suggest the East Basin. Go out of the East Basin, and you can fish literally right out of the opening of the East Basin on the upstream side. That's not a bad spot on the incoming tide.
All the way up to Young's you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about right out of the East Basin. There's a white can right out of the opening on the upstream side of it, and people fish around, and myself as well, I fish around that white can there. It's kind of some snaggy stuff in there, some rocks, but the sturgeon are in there. They're often big sturgeon in there. So that's one spot right across the channel onto what is then called Taylor Sands.
Up in here?
Yeah, up in here above the bridge. There's some great water over here. On the other side, there's various channels that cut across the sands. We get in those channels over there and fish for them.
And you're looking for depth at that point?
Yeah, most of the time I'm fishing in water that's less than 12 feet deep.
Okay, so if you were going to go out, again, somebody puts into the East Basin, they kind of run across. Number one, you need to pay attention to where you are, okay? Number two, when you do get out there and you're playing the game the way you're supposed to, safely, you're running the channel so you're not getting yourself stuck, okay? You got to keep all these little things into play. This is the reason why I mentioned it being an intimidating area. But what you're looking for is relatively shallow water, and I think, I'm sure Chris will have more advice to share, but you need to know where those tides are. The number one thing, absolute number one thing, other than weather, okay, because the weather is a thing, is your tides. If you get into a spot that's got you got a 10-foot exchange and you're in 3 foot or 4 foot of water and it's going out, you need to get out of there. You got to pay attention to these things. And the number one way that you can learn these things is by hiring Chris or somebody similar that can get you out there and give you that rundown. All right, so bear with me. We're going to be back in just a couple of minutes, okay? Everyone?